Good morning, afternoon, or evening from wherever you're tuning in from today. Welcome back to our mini series on continuous quality improvement practices for nonprofits, where you can learn the basics of setting a good CQI foundation in just under 10 minutes. In our last video, we covered the key components of logic models and why they're essential for every nonprofit. Today, we're taking your logic model to the next level. In this video, we'll explore how to add a purpose statement and assumptions, external factors, and visual enhancements that make your logic model even more powerful for planning and communication. By the end of this video, you'll know how to create a comprehensive logic model that tells your program's complete story. Let's dive deeper. As a quick recap, a typical logic model consists of four key components: inputs, activities, outputs, and outcomes. If you're unfamiliar with these components, or if you'd like to take a deeper dive into each of them, you can watch our first video, which covers the basics of a logic model. If you feel good about your understanding of the core components, let's dive deeper, starting with two fundamental elements that make your logic model work: your purpose statement and your assumptions. First, let's talk about your purpose statement. This brief statement describes either the community need that your program addresses or the specific purpose your program serves. It provides essential context for why your logic model exists and helps stakeholders understand the driving force behind your work. For Alice's Responsible Pet Ownership Program, the purpose statement might be something like: many new pet owners in our community lack knowledge about proper animal care, leading to preventable health issues, behavioral problems, and increased pet abandonment rates. Next, your assumptions are the underlying beliefs about how and why your program will succeed. These are the things you believe to be true about your participants, your approach, and the conditions that will help your program work effectively. Think of assumptions as the foundation your logic model stands on. They're not always visible, but they are crucial to your program's success. Let's look at some assumptions for Alice's Responsible Pet Ownership Program. Pet owners want to provide good care, but lack knowledge and resources. Hands-on learning is more effective than information-only approaches. Early intervention right after adoption prevents problems. Peer support enhances learning and retention. Or group settings create community amongst new pet owners. Notice how these assumptions support every part of our logic model, from why our activities will work to why participants will engage. When you identify assumptions, you're making your program's logic model explicit and testable. External factors are conditions outside your control that could impact your program's success. Unlike assumptions, these are real-world circumstances that you need to plan around, rather than beliefs about how your program works. External factors help you acknowledge the context that your program operates within and helps you identify potential risks or opportunities that could affect your outcomes. For Alice's Responsible Pet Ownership Program, external factors may include local economic conditions affecting pet owners' ability to afford veterinary care, availability of pet-friendly housing in the community, pet owners' work schedules and availability for classes, veterinary community partnership and support, or transportation access to the program locations. By identifying these factors, you can plan contingencies and communicate to stakeholders about conditions that might affect your results. Keep in mind, you can't control external factors, but you can prepare for them and build them into your logic model and evaluation approach. Here is the logic model that we have created for Alice's Animal Rescue, now with all of the components that we've just discussed. There's nothing wrong with this logic model. It clearly and accurately reflects how this program will enact change. However, it's crucial to remember, logic models are visual tools designed to communicate your program's story more clearly and effectively, often displayed in a vertical, horizontal, or creative structure. A well-designed model isn't just accurate. It uses visual elements like colors, icons, and a clear layout to help your audience instantly understand your work and how it creates change. Let's explore some enhancements that make your logic model more effective for communication and planning. Using consistent colors can help to show different types of outcomes or can help to group related activities. This allows viewers to quickly understand your program's flow. In addition to color coding, use colors that are specific to your organization or program. This further serves to connect the visual tool aspect of your work, allowing your audience to immediately connect the logic model to your brand and organization. Simple icons or images can make complex information more accessible, such as a graduation cap for education outcomes or maybe a heart for health improvement. Visual cues help people remember your key points and allow them to quickly translate your work to impact. Show the logic model connection between components with clear directional arrows. This reinforces how inputs lead to activities, activities produce outputs, and outputs create outcomes. Similar to color coding, this allows your audience to quickly follow the flow and structure of your logic model, allowing you to quickly move from interpretation to meaningful conversation. Here's an updated version of our logic model with all of the enhancements incorporated. In this before and after reveal, we can see how much clearer Alice's logic model becomes with the enhancements that we've discussed. We can see how color coding shows the progression from immediate to long-term outcomes. Icons make each section instantly recognizable, and the flow arrows clearly demonstrate cause and effect. Remember, the goal is clarity, not complexity. Every visual element should help tell your program's story more effectively. Logic models aren't set it and forget it documents. They're living tools that should evolve your program. Here's when and how to keep your model current and useful. At minimum, review your logic model annually. While reviewing, you can consider some of the following questions. Have your assumptions held true? Have external factors changed? And are your outcomes still realistic and relevant? Focusing on what has changed or held true will allow you to focus on areas that might have shifted in your programming over the last year and should now be reflected within your logic model. If you add new activities, change target populations, or shift your program focus, all of these are indicators that it may be time to update your logic model to reflect these changes. For example, if Alice originally served only new pet adopters but expands to include existing pet owners that are struggling with behavioral issues, their target population has fundamentally changed. This might require new inputs like certified animal behaviorists, different activities like one-on-one behavioral consultations, and additional areas where adjusted outputs may be necessary. Your logic model should always accurately represent your current program reality, not the original plan. If your evaluation shows that certain activities aren't producing expected outputs or outputs aren't leading to anticipated outcomes, your logic model might need revision. For example, if Alice's educational classes are well attended, aka they have good output numbers, but follow-up surveys show that pet owners aren't implementing care practices, meaning that they have poor outcome results, this suggests a gap between activities and outcomes. The team's discussion should consider if the classes need more hands-on practice or if pet owners need ongoing support after the initial class. This is not a place to assume program failure, but instead an opportunity to use this data to refine your logic model. At the end of the day, your logic model should reflect what actually works, not just what we hoped would work. When funders, partners, or participants provide feedback that challenges your assumptions or reveals new external factors, incorporate these insights. For example, if pet adopters consistently report work schedules prevent them from attending evening classes, this challenges the assumption that pet owners will prioritize education regardless of timing. Alice might need to add weekend sessions or online modules to their activities. The key is listening actively to those closest to your program's impact and being willing to evolve your logic model based on their real world experiences. Now that we have a better understanding of crucial points where we should consider updating our logic model, let's talk about how we go about making revisions. The update process is straightforward but requires intentional planning. Start by gathering your team. Schedule a dedicated meeting with diverse team members. Include program staff who deliver activities, data coordinators who track outcomes, and leadership who interact with key funders and stakeholders. Set aside time to review each component against the current state of things. You can bring your current logic model, any recent evaluation data, stakeholder feedback, and program changes from the past year. Work through each component systematically and ask questions such as, do our listed inputs still reflect what we actually need? Are our activities accurately described as we currently deliver them? Have our output measures remained consistent with what we're actually tracking? Review your assumptions and external factors particularly carefully, as these often shift without much formal announcements. Once you've identified any needed changes, you can update your visual model and test it by having someone who's unfamiliar with the updates walk through the logical flow. Can they follow your program story? Lastly, be sure to share the updated version with your stakeholders. Finally, don't let your updated model sit on your desktop collecting virtual dust from going unused. Share it with your board, send it to current funders. You can use it in new grant applications or review it during new hire orientations to quickly onboard staff. Schedule your next review date immediately, treating logic model maintenance as an ongoing organizational practice rather than a one-time exercise. Remember, updating your logic model is all about demonstrating learning and continuous improvement. Now, let's put your knowledge to the test with a quick quiz on logic model enhancements. I will ask you several multiple choice questions and wait just a few seconds before showing you the answer. Feel free to pause the video if you need more time. Assumptions in a logic model are A. Conditions outside your control that affect program success. B. Underlying beliefs about how and why your program will work. C. Visual elements that make your model more attractive. When should you update your logic model? A. Only when required by funders. B. During annual reviews and after major programs or funding changes. C. Never. Logic models should remain consistent. Visual enhancements in logic models should A. Make the model as colorful and complex as possible. B. Help communicate your program's story more clearly and effectively. C. Only be used for presentations to major funders. Great work. If you had a hard time answering any of these questions, or if you want to look over a certain section before moving on, use the chapter breakdown to jump to the section that you're interested in reviewing. If you're ready to strengthen your existing logic model, start by listing 3 beliefs your team holds about why your programs work and let these become your assumptions. Then identify 3 outside conditions that could affect your program's success. These are your external factors. Add these elements to your logic model and discuss them with your team sometime this week. If you're interested in learning more about United Way of Greater Houston's efforts in this space, through our coffee and quality programs, we are taking this work a step further by empowering our partner agencies and community partners to lead the way in strengthening data practices across the nonprofit landscape. You can check the link in the description for more information. If you're ready to move to the next section, you can join us as we talk all about data dictionaries.